If you've been wanting to know what the next step is, once you've found a great assistant or great team member that you want to work with and you're just ready to hand over all your work, this video is for you. We're going to talk all about the key step, which is a test project with this new team member before you go ahead and onboard them. Stay tuned. I'm Sylvie McCracken from sylviemccracken.com, and today I want to talk about how I use a test project to really take my hiring to the next level. So here's what I mean by this. We've talked before about how to hire a great assistant. We'll link it all up below. But once you've gone through the interview process, once you've gone through kind of sorting through the various applicants, and maybe you've had a few interviews, or maybe you prefer to do this project before you have a few interviews. I've certainly done that as well. You know, you really want to have that test project with them. You want to work with them in a small way before you hire them, well, full-time, or, you know, in the case of a lot of us entrepreneurs, I don't have anyone technically full-time, but before you hire them for ongoing work and for quite a bit more work, right? You want to be able to run a test project. Now, it might sound simple, just give them a test project and hope for the best, but here is how I've refined this process so that I can make sure that it works for me long term, and that I can make sure I can sort of use it to test a variety of skills, right? So number one, what you really want to do is you want to be able to be clear in your description of what you want the outcome of this project to be, but you don't necessarily want to give so much detail that you leave no room for really testing what this possible contractor's potential is. So what do I mean by that? For example, if I'm hiring an editor, I will give an example of a finished video that I want it to look like. And I will, you know, give them the materials that they need to make that happen. So I will give them the raw video footage. I will give them perhaps the stinger video. I will give them, you know, the audio file that I need if there's some music involved or something like that, or maybe a document that has the fonts and colors that I like. So of course, I need to provide that information, right? But as far as, you know, the nitty-gritty of every single thing, you know, of every detail of what not to do, or, you know, the key mistakes to avoid or whatever, I don't do that on purpose, just for the sole purpose of really being able to test this person's common sense. And also, you know, when I'm sending out a test project, I almost always send it out to multiple contractors. So that could mean multiple editors, multiple writers, multiple social media people, image designers, etc. Because I really want to take 3 or 4 of these people, and I want to be able to compare. And when I do that, it gives me optics that I couldn't have if I only sent it to one person. So I'm able to compare, how did this person communicate with me? Were there any questions? Were they clear in communication? Were they quick to communicate? Did they take, you know, several business days, 1 business day? What was the cost, the effectiveness of it, you know, their efficiency? Did they charge me for mistakes or revisions that they made, you know, that could have been avoided? And you know, it's amazing when you're sending this out to several different people, where you'll see somebody can do it in an hour, other people will take the same exact project and it will take them 3 hours to do. And you can kind of compare and contrast. Is it worth that amount of money for you? What kind of skill level do you need for this? And with everything in my business, I try to be as efficient as possible. So my biggest resource that I want to protect is my time above everything else. But of course, a close second is my money. So I want to be able to do this effectively, but I don't really want to hire someone for $200 an hour when it's really a $10 an hour job, and vice versa. So this depends on what type of, you know, gig you're hiring out for, of course. So that is something that you want to pay attention to. You also want to pay attention to, you know, are they proofing themselves? Are they catching mistakes before they send them to you, or are you constantly catching mistakes? So these are things that in that test project, now granted, of course, most contractors will be putting their best foot forward, and sometimes you won't catch, you know, things that might come up later, but I think it will give you a really, really good next level of working with this person before you really commit, right? It's a little bit of dating before you get married. So I highly recommend that you use test projects in your hiring process. I like to do them. I've switched it around. I used to interview first and then do a test project. For a lot of jobs now, what I'll do is I'll do a test project after, you know, some email back and forth, I'll do a test project, and only then will I interview, mostly as a formality in a way, but also to really talk about the process going forward and how I want to streamline this process and make it more efficient for both of us, and what I expect, and figuring out availability and things like that, right? So anyway, I hope this has been helpful for you. I would love to share more tips with you on hiring. If you're not already on my list, click the button below and make sure that you sign up. I will be talking more about outsourcing, efficiency, and all of that jazz, and I will see you next week.